Hello guys, today I'll tell you how I got to my first big shooting. Everybody was curious, so I just decided to reveal some secrets. First of all, let's start that if you want to get to some big cool shooting, like film shooting or photo shooting, you're supposed to know some basics. I will share some basics today with you, and I will explain it for you as for dummies, because you can read absolutely everything online and you can watch YouTube, but I used to do the same, but I couldn't understand all these professional terms, and literally I was taking my camera maybe 5 or 7 times. I just was opening it and I was like so shocked, because there were so many different buttons which I didn't know how to set, which numbers to press. So today I will explain to you all of that. Okay, so first of all, how I got to my first film shooting. When I got acquainted with the guys, I knew that they're gonna film something. So I approached the guy and I told him, I was like, can you please take me to your shooting? I just want to see how you do that. And he was like, I can do everything for you. I can make coffee, I can just serve the food, I can carry the camera. But of course, most of the time people were laughing, because they saw how dedicated I was. But for me it was like a life changer. I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to see how they set the cameras. I just wanted to see what type of light they use and how do they set it. Of course, like in theory, I knew a lot. I went to different workshops, but I didn't have opportunity to get to the real set. So this day came and I've learned some stuff, and then after that it was much easier to get to different shootings, because you say like, oh, I've been already there, I've been there, and I know how to set up the cameras and so on and so on. So let me just give you some explanations about all these professional terms like white balance, ISIL, shutter speed, aperture, because they are like vital things for the shooting. Okay, let's talk first about ISIL. What is ISIL? So if you want to make your footage brighter, you go to the higher number of ISO. If you want to make it darker, you go to the lower one. But you cannot go to super high ISO, because it will give you some noise, which is not gonna be good for your footage, so everything will be out of focus. Or I'm not saying everything, but lots of stuff will be not in focus, because it will look like you shot it on the phone. So you have to avoid going to high ISO. But also, it depends on the camera. If you're shooting with the red camera, you can go to really high ISO. If you don't know what is red camera is a camera which is used for professional filming, like Hollywood movies, Bollywood movies. You can see red cameras there. So basically, ISO controls the light. All these things control the light: aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. White balance controls the color of the picture, which you're gonna get in the end. White balance. For me, it was quite difficult to understand how it works and how to set it up, but I will explain to you in a very simple language. You know about kelvins, right? We all studied that at school, so you just have to understand. If you want your footage to look daytime, like fluorescent light, then you would set up your camera to 4500 kelvins. If you want to make it look blue, then you will set up your camera to 8,000 Kelvin. So I'll put a chart for you that you would understand how it looks like. When you see the picture, it's much easier to understand. It's first of all. Second, how to set it up. Last time I was on professional shooting, and I like the way how they were set in ISO. So we took the whiteboard, we placed it in front of the camera, and there is a button on the camera, auto white balance. So you press that button and the camera adjusts by itself, and it keeps that settings for the rest of the shooting. So it was quite interesting. Of course, you can set up your DSLR camera if you're doing some photo shoot. You can set it up to auto, but most of the photographers say that you shouldn't do that. You just have to select what color of the photo you want. So, but it depends also. Like some photographers, they like more cold photos, which is like bluish color, but some people like more yellowish, like warmer. Me, I like warmer sometimes, and sometimes I like to have my photos in like cold colors, like a little bit bluish, especially if I'm wearing something pink. Shutter speed. What is shutter speed? I also couldn't understand it for quite a long time. So in the camera, there is a sensor and there is a shutter, which opens quite fast or quite slow. So it controls the light. It controls how much light is getting on the sensor. That you would understand. Room, you have curtains, right? So if you close the curtains, you will not have too much light. And if you open the curtains, you will have lots of light. So it's the same. If the curtain in your camera moves very fast, so it lets lots of light in the camera, inside the camera, on the sensor, right? But if it moves very slow, you will get less light. For example, if you set your camera to these settings, which is commonly used for sport events, or if you want to freeze the motion, sport events, but I like to do that with the water or something like that, or when I'm shooting a model which is moving, I quite often do that. I ask my models just to walk, and I like to freeze the motion. If you are shooting the nature and you have a fall and you want to make the water look blurred, but everything would be in focus, then you would set your shutter, for example, to these settings, and it will give you that really cool blur. Because sometimes people look at those pictures and they think that it was photoshopped. No, it wasn't photoshopped. It's just camera settings. Shutter speed for video. If you are shooting with 25 frames per second, then your shutter speed has to be doubled. So it has to be 1 divided by 50. If you're shooting at 60 frames per second, your shutter speed has to be 1 divided by 120. So it's always double the frame rate. So, aperture. What is aperture? Aperture is the opening of the lens. So if this iris gonna be closed, so it will not let lots of light on the sensor. And your pictures, they will be, first of all, either dark or they're gonna be not with blur background. But if you like bokeh and you want your subject to be in focus and the rest of it would be out of focus, then you would set your aperture at 1.4 or 1.8. Of course, like, you're supposed to have lots of space in the back, because you can see what you can see some plants, you can see some chairs behind me. Of course, even if you shoot with the aperture 1.8, 1.4, still it's quite the subjects are quite close to me, so they are not going to be blurred. You just have to keep in mind, if you want the subject to be in focus and everything should be blurred, then you have to move all the objects away from the subject. For example, 2-3 meters, which is like 6 feet, I guess. And if you want everything in focus, then you would set up your aperture at 4 or 5.6 and all about like 11, 8, whatever. Video production. Once I shot a video at the Aperture 1.4, literally it was my mistake, because yes, I love blurred background, but you know, I had approximately this distance and I couldn't move more. It's just I was moving a little bit further and moving backwards, I was out of focus. And at that time I realized that you just have to shoot the person only in that case if the person is not gonna move. Like you can see that in some movies that you can see the close-up and you can see that the person's face is so in focus but everything is blurred. So it means that the person didn't move at all. But if you pay attention, those shots in the movie only for a few seconds, maybe 1, 2, 3 seconds, because it's difficult not to move at all, especially for me, because I'm quite an emotional girl. In video production, you have to know that there are certain rules for positioning the camera. If in photo, you can put the camera in any place, any angle, doesn't matter the distance, but if you're shooting some videos, that's it. You have to follow certain rules. You cannot keep lots of space above the person's head. There are different type of shots. We have close-up, we have mid-shot, we have wide shot, we have B-roll, and we have lots of other shots. So you have to know them all. And of course, like sometimes when I'm taking photos of my friends who are photographers and I'm not leaving enough space above the person's head, just because I'm shooting all the time videos and I know all the shots for video production. But for photography, it's a little bit different. You also have to keep in mind the rule of thirds when you put the model somewhere on the right or on the left, and then you just have lots of space. But in video production, you cannot do that. Thank you for listening to me and my explanations, and I hope it was useful for you. If you like the video, just give me some likes, write some comments, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and press the bell so you will get notified as just I'm getting new video on my channel. See you soon. Bye bye.